A while ago I made a video about my path to polyamory / polyfidelity, and while everything in it pretty much is still the case, I had an important revelation. About a week ago, within the last week I would say, I woke up and I'd only had 4 hours of sleep. And for the next couple hours I laid there and my inner guidance was talking to me very, very strongly about letting go of the polyfidelity stuff and just opening up to polyamory without any attachment to form. Not to say that I wouldn't find myself in a polyfidelitous situation in the future, or even a monogamous situation. I mean, that's all future, that's all unknown. But for now, the essence of the message was that it was time to let go of form. I believe that my studying of Eckhart Tolle's philosophy of not attaching to the form of life and to your life situation and so forth has really influenced me, and that this is the best way for me to practice spiritually, is to just let go of form. I also realize that ultimately it just isn't congruent to limit myself or limit other people in terms of what form love takes. And although polyfidelity doesn't have to limit form, there's a greater likelihood that I would be attached to the form that I find myself in that kind of labeling. And so now I feel that whether I'm alone or with one person or more than one person, it can all be fine, and that is my challenge, to let it all be fine. Because if it isn't fine, if one of those forms isn't fine, then I'm going to be addicted on a certain level to form. And so I'll always be at the mercy of other people's choices if I am overly attached to what form the kind of loving relationship or relationships I am in takes. So I believe at this point I also was guided to recognize that while I'm heterosexual, and that, you know, if I'm in a polyfidelitous situation with two women, for example, a triad, that is in part about leaving out opportunities for healing with men on a platonic level. And I think that there is that part of me that, you know, prefers women to the point where I could do without men in my life to some degree. But I think that with just opening myself up to love wherever it exists, it also opens up a greater likelihood that a partner would have another partner, and that there are opportunities for me to heal in terms of my relationship with men, and also work on letting go of that kind of alpha male competition, just genetic predisposition towards competition between men for women, for love, for sex. It's just all a very aggressive kind of energy, which I think that I can transcend. I know I have at points in my past, and it's time to return, I think, to that practice and just let go of form. I also have been thinking about a quote from Osho that I read about 1.5 years ago. He was talking about, was an article or essay or whatever, a speech that was translated, and anyhow, it was about how when you're in a relationship for too long, things can start to become kind of sluggish and murky, and you lose yourself, and conversely, if you're single for too long, you're missing out on certain growth lessons and juiciness of life and so forth. And basically either of those states of togetherness or aloneness can have its limitations in terms of your growth. And I believe that society is, and our biology is always giving us the message that togetherness is always better. And the ego wants us to believe this as well. Togetherness is always better. But you know, when you talk to a lot of people who are in relationships, that's not always the case. They're often frustrated. There's often control struggles and, you know, power dynamics going on in the relationship that are stressful. And so we often have this grass is always greener perspective, and that, you know, that leads to just never being happy. I also have been reflecting upon letting go of any attachment to what form my life is going to take, because if I'm attached to a certain kind of form, then I'm going to either consciously or unconsciously try to perpetuate that state of being and not allow for change. And that is going to lead to rigidity and a controlling nature, which takes away the essence of a free-flowing kind of life. And ultimately, I believe that we want to hold on to something, often a relationship, because that holding on leads us to feeling as though we don't have to deal with our deepest fears. This, will I die? Will I lose my mind? Will I lose my wealth? Will I lose my home? Will I lose? Will I lose? Will I lose? All this fears of loss. So if we have something to hold on to in the form of relationship, then that can feel like something solid. But when you pay attention to how relationships go, that's often not the case. They're not that solid. They're in flow. They're in flux. And so allowing oneself to just let go and not have anything to hold on to except your connection with your true self, your connection with spirit, your ability to surrender and just flow down the river of life is, in a relaxed and trusting, faithful way. That's the way I want to live. So, thanks for listening.